Hey there everyone, I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. Today's blog is another request from Joseph Lyon, and as you can tell from the Special World logo, we're taking another trip to Neverland. However, this time we're not going to be discussing Tinkerbell or her fairy friends. Nope. Instead, we'll be talking about the boy who never grows up, Peter Pan. Now, I'm sure a lot of you viewers out there are familiar with the story of Peter Pan by Scottish novelist and playwright J.M. Barrie. Well, from what I can tell, like most stories, it's a timeless classic. Not only did this story become a special book and a stage play, but there were also times where Peter Pan made it to the big screen. For example, there was an animated TV series made by Fox. Another show in 2011, which was made by Disney Junior, which starred Jake and his pirate crew. There was even a time when Robin Williams got to Neverland for his first time since the Back to Neverland short. And, well, of course, there was the recent Pan film that really wasn't a great way to tell Peter Pan's origin story. Anyway, like most people, I was first introduced to Peter Pan by watching the 1953 animated Disney film, but for more details on that, I'll have to save that for next summer when I do a blog on it. For the version I'll be looking at today is a film that was given to us by Universal Studios way back in 2003, which is said by many to be a very faithful adaptation. So let's get started. Released on Christmas 2003, the movie is Peter Pan. So, let's get started. As Wendy Darling recounts stories to her brothers, John and Michael, she is visited by Peter Pan. Peter, a boy who magically never ages, invites Wendy and her brothers to Neverland, an island where he lives with the lost boys. Once there, however, Wendy and her brothers are kidnapped by Captain Hook. Peter, with assistance from the fairy Tinkerbell, must face Hook in order to rescue the Darlings. So, what did I think of this movie? Well, this movie was truly a magical experience, which means I liked it. But in order to explain more info, let's move on to Mustang notes. After the script was written, Stephen Cox, Chief Press Officer for Great Ormond Street Hospital for Children, NHS Trust, gave the hospital's approval, saying, "We have read the script by P.J. Hogan and Michael Goldenberg and are delighted to report that we feel that it is in keeping with the original work whilst communicating to an audience with modern sensibilities. The visual effects in the film are a mixture of practical and digital. The fairies that appear in the film are actors composited into the film with some digital enhancements. The film also features a large computer-generated TikTok the crocodile. Another character, an animatronic parrot, appears in some scenes on the pirate ship. A complex harness was built to send the live actors rotating and gliding through the air for the flight sequences. They were then composited into the shots of London and Neverland, although they are sometimes replaced with computer-generated figures. On another aspect for bringing the story to life was the complex sword-fighting sequences, for which the actors were trained. Hogan said that the flying scenes were very difficult to accomplish. Hollywood-based producer Lucy Fisher also said that the window Peter flies out of had to be enlarged twice. The film is dedicated to Dodi Al-Fayed, who is executive producer of the 1991 film Hook. Al Fayed planned to produce a live-action version of Peter Pan and shared his ideas with Princess Diana, who said she could not wait to see the production once it was underway. Al Fayed's father, Mohammed Al Fayed, co-produced the 2003 adaptation of the classic tale after his son died in a car crash which also killed Princess Diana. Finding Neverland, a film about J.M. Barrie and the creation of Peter Pan, was originally scheduled to be released in 2003, but the producers of this film, who also held the screen rights to the story, refused permission for that film to use scenes from the play unless its release was delayed until the following year. Filming, which lasted for about 12 months and ended in June 2003, took place entirely inside sound stages on Australia's Golden Coast, Queensland. According to Fisher, the decision to shoot in Australia was based on the low value of the Australian dollar at the time. Hogan had originally planned on filming in a variety of locations such as New Zealand and London, but abandoned this idea after scouting some of the locations. Filming on sound stages did help retain some of the theatricality of the original play, some which Hogan thought was important. Universal distributed the movie in France and in all countries where English was a primary language, including the US and Canada, while Columbia and Revolution Films released the film in the rest of the world. The US TV rights are owned by Debmar Mercury and Lionsgate Entertainment under license from Revolution and co-distributed by 20th Television. Man, talk about lots of indoor work on this film, but at least the final product turned out good. I especially love the film's visuals. In my opinion, the whole setting in this movie looks very realistic and simply breathtaking, from London to the Neverland jungles, the Indian camp, the fairies' home, even Peter's hideout, and a few places like the Jolly Roger and Black Castle, which is supposed to represent Marooner's Rock, are pretty dark. The mermaids in this film are different compared to most mermaids I've seen on screen. These mermaids are dark and unfriendly, but they do act as fortune tellers. Also, I know I already mentioned TikTok the crocodile being computer generated, and I know a while ago I did say that he's my favorite Peter Pan character, but compared to my portrayal of him back in 2007 at Musical Theater Village, well, TikTok in this film looks more ferocious, while my portrayal of him looked kind of silly and cheap. Anyway, now that I'm done with Mustang notes, let's move on to the cast of this movie. Our hero, Peter Pan, the boy who never grows up, is played by Jeremy Sumpter, who after this film was in Into the Storm. Peter, like in the book, develops romantic feelings for Wendy, clearly evident when Hook taunts him by insinuating Wendy will forget about him and that he'll be replaced by a husband. Peter is brave, determined, cocky, and optimistic, as he's only able to think happy thoughts. Also, I would team up with Peter on an adventure any day. He cares about Tinkerbell even though he gets angry at her and attempts to revive her after she drinks the poison to save him. He wants to always be a young boy who has everlasting fun and adventure, which don't we all wish we do with that as well? But anyway, unlike other versions, Peter Pan's his own feelings, emotions, and even mere presence affect various aspects of the weather around Neverland. Fun fact, though. Sumter mentioned that he had to train for 5 months before the shoot. He had to do harness training to learn how to fly and learn how to sword fight, and that he got stabbed a couple times with a sword. Sumter grew a few inches over the course of the film's production, and it required staging tricks to retain Hook's height and advantage over Peter in face-to-face scenes late in the process. Next we have Peter's friend, Tinkerbell, a Tinker Fairy played by French actress Ludivine Sagnier. She is jealous of Wendy and cares so deeply for Peter that she is willing to sacrifice her life for him. Originally, Tink was going to be entirely computer-generated, but the filmmakers were impressed with Ludivine's performance, so they decided to abandon that idea. Wendy Darling, the eldest of the Darling children, is played by Rachel Hurd-Wood. She is a mother figure to the Lost Boys and her younger brothers, John and Michael. At first she does not want to grow up, but eventually she accepts she must and returns home. She cares about Peter's safety and well-being, and seems to reciprocate his feelings for her. I also thought that Rachel's performance as Wendy was simply beautiful. Next up is Wendy's brothers, John and Michael, played by Harry Newell and Freddie Popplewell, who I think have not been in anything before or since this movie. John is the second eldest of the Darling family. Tiger Lily gives him a kiss, which gives him strength to open the gate at Black Castle, and Michael is the youngest who carries a teddy bear with him. Next we come to the Lost Boys. Slyly, played by Theodore Chester, Toodles, played by Rupert Simeonin, Curly, played by George McKay, Nibs, played by Harry Eden, and the twins, played by Patrick and Lachlan Gooch. Now, I love these guys for many reasons. For example, their loyalty to Peter, they're very crafty, and they make a great teamwork together. Next, we have Tiger Lily, the daughter of the Native American chief, played by Carson Gray. She was captured by Hook along with John and Michael as bait for Peter Pan. Next, we have George Darling, the Darling children's father, played by Jason Isaacs, whom folks might know from the Harry Potter franchise. George is a banker who knows the cost of everything, even a hug. Isaacs also plays Captain Hook, Peter Pan's arch nemesis, ever since Peter cut off his hand and fed it to Tik-Tok the crocodile, who has followed Hook ever since. He is the captain of the Jolly Roger, and many of his happy thoughts are murderous. He admits his hook could be quite useful, but more is the loss of his right hand. Also, Hook is a very smart pirate. He tries to shoot Peter with a cannon, tries to drown John, Michael, and Tiger Lily at Black Castle, even tries to poison Peter. But the most devious thing he does is have Wendy become a pirate named Red-Handed Jill. I've also been hearing from lots of people that Isaac's performance as Hook is probably like the best one compared to anyone else who's ever played him on screen. We also have Hook's first mate, Mr. Smee, played by Richard Briers. Like in the book, Smee is a very lovable and goofy guy, and he's very kind and always puts Hook's wishes first on his to-do list. Now the last character we come to is Aunt Millicent, played by Lynn Redgrave, who was in the Wild Thornberrys movie. Millicent is the maternal aunt of the 3 Darling children, who wants to help Wendy into becoming an adult, which, in my eyes, doesn't really sit well with me, because Wendy, well, I feel like it's kind of too early for her to start being a lady. But luckily, Millicent's adoption to Slyly at the end makes up for that. And now it's time to move on to my final words. Overall, Peter Pan 2003 is a wonder for anyone, young or old. It stays faithful to J.M. Barrie's original book with a few new stuff here and there. The visuals and effects are breathtaking, and the characters from Jeremy Sumpter as Peter Pan to Jason Isaacs as Hook do great jobs playing their characters. But the only downside is that it's still a bummer that a few of the child actors haven't acted in anything before or since this film. Still, if you're a fan of Peter Pan, then by all means you should show this film to your kids. And trust me, you'll all have a great time. I give this film a 97% out of 100. Well, that's it for today, everyone. And I hope Joseph Lyon has enjoyed this blog. Be sure to join me next time. Mustang Power.